get it started. Okay, y'all. So today's call, typically I would just kind of go into everything with the back office so you guys can see. For those of you that don't know already, there is a members guide, a welcome guide for everyone to tap into. If you do not have that already, please let me know. Please let somebody know so we can get that to you. That's going to have all the steps for whether you're trying to learn how to trade, all the resources for new traders. And it's also going to have business builder, leadership, trainings as well. So if you guys don't have that guide, please let me know, or please let the person that shared this with you, we'll get that to you. So today's call, I really don't want to take a lot of time to go through this. It's really, really simple, but the most simplest things that we hear about, those cliche quotes, a lot of times they just kind of go right over our heads. We're like, yeah, like I know that, or I've heard that before, that makes sense. We hear all these quotes all the time. But it's not, I say this all the time, but it's not until we're like actually in the moment, we're experiencing that specific quote that it starts to really become relevant in our lives. And one of the things that I really wanted to dig deep in today is actually from this book that I've been reading. I'm about a quarter way through right now, but it's called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And this book is phenomenal. If you guys all know Chairman 25, Mike Sotero, he preaches about this book. It's his top 3 that he recommends. And so I picked it up a couple weeks ago, and it's phenomenal. And it's so true. What to say when you talk to yourself? You ever really think about that? Do you ever really ask yourself, what do I say? What are the thoughts that come in? I think it's some crazy number, like almost 100,000 thoughts. I mean, I think it varies, but it's a lot of different thoughts that we have throughout the day. But what's crazy is most of the thoughts that we have are negative. And I'm going to kind of be panning to some of my notes here because there's some statistics that were said in this book that I want to share with you guys for perspective purposes. But I want you guys to know like why we're doing this call in the first place and why I wanted to bring this topic kind of to the forefront, because we're all here for a reason, right? Like a part of I Am Mastery Academy. You don't have to be on this Zoom call right now. You don't. You're not paying your subscription to hear me talk on a Sunday afternoon. Okay, you guys are a member of the academy, and so I just want to tell you guys, you're here for a reason, and you obviously show up to additional trainings, meetings, events, calls, whatever it may be, because you know that value that you're going to receive is an investment into yourself. So I want to make sure that I can give you as much value over the next 15, 20 minutes that you guys can not just take in, like don't just show up to these calls ready to consume or, just to be here, right, going through the motions, because how you do anything is how you do everything. If you show up to things just to go through the motions in one area, the likelihood of you to do that in other areas is going to be profound. You're going to do it elsewhere. So be here, be present, like locker room style, ready to take notes with the intention to apply that. That's something that I learned in that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Everything that you do, take it with the intent to how can I build better habits from this? How can I shift my perspective? How can I give myself a deeper sense of meaning and appreciation and break new levels of awareness? Like when you can come in to everything that you do in your life with that level of intention, can you imagine the type of lifestyle that you can create, the type of mindset that you can have? And this is the last thing I'll touch on this, because the whole purpose of these calls are just to build y'all's belief, just to help you guys gain a new perspective, think differently. Because a lot of times in life, most people, you ask them, they don't have goals for themselves. They don't have a vision for where they're going. You ask them, what are their goals for the rest of the year? What's going to be that separator from you right now to you in January 1, 2021? What's the physical differences that, like, okay, yes, we're going to have mental, emotional. We all pray for that, right? But what's going to be our physical differences? What's going to change? Because most people end up living the same life over and over and over again. And I'm going to get into why from this book, from this topic. What to say when you talk to yourself. And it's so crazy that most people don't have goals. They don't even believe that their goals and aspirations and dreams are even attainable. And it really comes down to who you hang around and the kind of self-talk that you have, the information that you're consuming. So bottom line, guys, is you're here for a reason, and I want to give you as much value as possible. But just know that what you put into whatever you're doing, trading, business building, your personal level of growth and development, it's input and output, cause and effect. I have this mentality, and I learned this from, last 4 or 5 years of just trial and error, time under tension, repetition, beating it over and over and over into my mind that, Abby, what you put in is what you're going to get out. Numbers are numbers. I watched this movie. We took a 5-hour flight today from DC to LAX to Phoenix, and I watched the movie Moneyball. And if you guys have ever seen that movie, you kind of understand where I'm coming from. But the reason why I'm sharing this with you really quickly is because he talks about in the movie how the baseball statistics, you need runners on base. Like, that's the whole motive. But when you really break it down, is they're breaking it down into numbers. Numbers. With trading, we know it's not emotional. You don't need to be emotional when you trade. You can't. There's no room to be emotional while you trade, right? Everything's got to be, like laid out. Patterns, strategy, your plan. Boom, 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 right? And so with this whole Moneyball concept that they were talking about, the movie is everything that they were doing. The Oakland A's went 20-0, 20 games in a row that they won. Never happened in sports history ever. And it was because of math, because of the numbers that they wrote out. And it was just really astonishing. And I played it back into trading. It's like, that's all trading is. That's all anything that we do are the numbers. So just like, guys, this is all about building your belief. If you think that you're stuck, you're not. You just need a different level of perspective. You need a shift in the way that you think. And that's what this call is really about. And that's what every training, every opportunity for you to show up and hear a different kind of conversation. Because what are the conversations that you're having on a day-to-day basis? What do those conversations look like? What's that exchange of words? Is it empowering you? Is it elevating you? Is it challenging you? Does it make you feel a little uncomfortable in a good way because it's raising you, right? Or is it just keeping you down here? Is it kind of diminishing you? Is it draining you? Is it not really allowing you to grow? Jason Brown, Chairman 750, and I think in like 2 days is literally going to be on the DCX platform talking about Bitcoin, an educator for cryptocurrencies. And I remember he said this quote that, the biggest scam that we live in, right? The biggest scam that's actually out there in the world is you being in an environment that you cannot grow in. So just really like take that in. Like, what kind of environment are you creating for yourself? So let me stretch this back to the main topic and cut this to the 20 minutes that I said from the beginning. But guys, at the end of the day, what are the things that you tell yourself? The main point for this, the main point that I want you guys to understand, and I swear all of you have heard this before, but what's changed? You become what you think about most. Write that down. You become what you think about most. Write that down if you didn't write it down. Why am I saying to write it down? Because how many times have we heard things, didn't write it down, heard things again, didn't write it down, heard things again, didn't write it down? You're not crystallizing it. You're not making it real. You're not understanding it. Mike Miles talks about this. Go Live Educator talks about life is all about breaking new levels of awareness. You can't do that until you become fully aware and understanding of the things that are in front of you. And then you can actually go out and apply it. What does that mean? You become what you think about most. Your success and your failure will depend on your programming. And I'm not going to go super deep into this because I'm not an expert. I'm still a work in progress. I'm still in my process working on me. But what I can tell you from the last 4 or 5 years of just, pursuing my own personal growth and development is you really do. You become what you think about most. All your successes, all of your failures, everything in your life is dependent on your conditioning, on your programming. From by the time you were a little kid, right? And I heard this before. By the time you're 7 years old, you have basically built your self-esteem. So whoever was in your environment by the time you were born to about 7, 8 years old, the words that were told to you, all the, the beliefs that were instilled in you, the values, everything, the statements, you can do this, or, you're so pretty, or, all these things. I'm not going to go into detail, but, that environment, those people created and built your self-esteem. So your self-esteem essentially was created established by the time you were 7. And you guys ever heard this saying, it's very, very hard. Like by the age of like 25 to 26 years old, 27 years old, your mental programming is pretty much like stuck in stone. Like it's pretty much fixed. It's really, really hard to change somebody's programming, change the way that somebody is after 25. Why? They've been conditioned like repeatedly for 25 years, a quarter of a century, with the same beliefs, the same repetition for 25 years. And so you think about people that you talk to on a day-to-day basis, like, oh my God, like I can't change this guy's mind. Like they're so fixated on this. I'm like, yes. And here's a quote that I forget what his name is, or not what his name is. I forget how you pronounce his name. Tom Bilyeu, y'all know who I'm talking about. He says this. He says, life is a game of asking how much you can demand of yourself. It's about putting yourself on a path to pursue something that you love, something that absolutely lights you on fire, and then seeing just how far you can take it. And he ties it into with your belief. And he says your belief leads you. Everything that you believe in, like the brain believes what you tell it the most. So what do you believe about yourself? This concept he talks about here, 77% of everything we think is negative. 77% of everything that we think is negative. Oh, hold on. Someone's trying to get in here. 1 second, y'all. All right, there we go. 77% of everything we think is negative. Y'all, can you imagine the type of conversations that we have on a day-to-day basis that we've been having, the words, everything, the news, all like the surface level stuff we see on social media, like it's repetition. And a lot of that creates the negativity that we continue to tell ourselves on a day-to-day basis. And it also says, this is crazy, 75% of all illnesses are self-induced. That's crazy. 75% of all illnesses are self-induced. What? That means majority of the things that cause dis-ease is from we're our own problem and solution. We are the X factor. And so relating this back, obviously everything I'm talking about, you can relate this to any area of your life, fitness, health, wealth, trading, business, relationships, your personal growth, spirituality, doesn't matter. But really, like, why is this so important? Because how you talk to yourself literally determines who you're going to become. He says in the book, how successful you will be in anything, how successful you will be in anything that you do is tied directly to the words and beliefs about yourself that you have stored in your subconscious mind. And that subconscious programming, right? Everything that we tell ourselves repeatedly from, outside sources, people we trust and we care about, right? Our mom, our dad, family members, close friends, right? We trust their words, their values, their beliefs, obviously to a certain degree. But what we tell ourselves from our environment that we repeatedly do gets wired and programmed into our subconscious mind. And those are the thoughts that, like, where our thoughts come from, right? Those are the thoughts that we consistently have. We have we can't control what thoughts we have, but we can control the thoughts that we entertain. We can control the thoughts that we accept. And how do we do that? I'm not on here to give you guys this big light bulb answer. I'm hoping that I can share one thing that shifts the way that you think about this, because what you focus on grows. If you constantly are focusing on, like, imagine if you watched the news all day long, which people do that. My grandparents love them to death. But I visited them this past week, and what they have the news on all day long. I'm like, sit in their chair, watch the news. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Like, what kind of programming are, like, it's all negative. It's all fear-based. It's all manipulated, right? So, like, imagine you watch the news all day long, every day. or maybe 3 hours of news every single day. Or imagine you're on your social media, you're following people that, maybe you envy or you're jealous of, or, they give off a negative vibration, whatever it may be, for 3 hours a day, you're like scrolling through. And imagine all the thoughts that you're getting in from that and how that is like creating the program in your mind of the thoughts and the words and the beliefs that you tell yourself about yourself. And, when you believe something, you are more biased to things that are congruent with that belief. You guys, like I'm not going to go into politics, but like if you hear something that is congruent with a certain political belief or anything, you're going to be more biased to that than something that has nothing to like that contradicts it, even if it's right. And that's the crazy part, is we've got to allow ourselves to, kind of lift the veil and not have this bias when it comes to the things that, are kind of being told in our lives. Like, we've got to have obviously our guards up, but at the same time, you've got to understand, like, where are my thoughts coming from? You have the ability to accept any thought or reject any thought that comes into your mind of who are you? What's the narrative that you're telling about yourself? Because that narrative, that story, is either keeping you, holding you back, or it's propelling you into the person that you're trying to become. That's what this whole company is about. Our slogan, I Am Mastery Academy, is who will you become, or what will you become? So who are you becoming? That's like, everybody thinks that they're signing up and getting started with I Am Mastery Academy to learn how to trade. Trust me, you will learn how to trade if you stay consistent and you plug in and you take this seriously, because you take you seriously in your future. You will make money. No doubt. You just will. It's just, you got to plug in consistently. But those that don't, and those that quit, and those that, struggle for longer periods of time than probably necessary, everybody has their process. I'm not discriminating that, guys. It took me a long time. Trust me, you know my story. It took me a long time to learn this, because I had really, really trash belief, and I had really, really like negative, low self-esteem, negative self-talk. I just did not believe in myself, but it's not necessary. You don't need to take, this big grandiose amount of time if it's not necessary. Okay. So like those that take a longer time to learn this, or quit or make excuses or whatever, is they don't have very positive self-talk. So what's the narrative you're telling yourself? I've gotten to a point with trading and business building, and honestly, especially my fitness now, every area of my life, where cause and effect, what you put into something is what you're going to get out. It's numbers. Going back to the Moneyball example, it's numbers. What you put in, it's a formula. It's a pattern. If you are consistent long enough, you will get the results that you want. The result must happen. What you put in, what you're going to get out. Like, guys, I'm saying this over and over again because I want you to understand, with wherever you're at in your journey, you will get what you want if you believe that. Okay? If you think that you can, you can. If you think that you can't, you can't. Because you become what you think about. You become what you think about the most. What you focus on grows. And a lot of what I'm saying right now is repetition. Guys, sometimes we need to hear the same thing 100 times for it to click. I know it did for me. Like, all this is, guys, our brains are like, what happens? I've kind of learned this a little bit before, like neuroplasticity, if you guys ever heard that term before I started reading this book. If you guys want to write down Dr. Joe Dispenza, incredible. I also probably remember there's an audible that I'm trying to correlate into my routine and listen to right now, but I think it's called How to Break the Habit of Being Yourself. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I think that's what it's called, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he talks a lot about this. And basically, what this is our brains become wired with this is so good. Our brains become wired with new information through repetition. Our brains become wired, programmed. We are programmed from a very early age. Our brains become wired with new information through repetition. What that's called is neuroplasticity. I'm not going to go into the details on that, but just know there's little neurons. And right now you have habits that you've built beliefs that you've ingrained in yourself, the ways that you see who you are, the narrative, the story that you like to tell about yourself. I'm not good at this. I don't know math. I don't know if I can learn how to trade. I don't think I'm going to have enough time. Stop it. What narrative do you want to what narrative do you want to become? Oh, yeah, yeah. Can you guys see it too? Oh, okay, there we go. Sorry, y'all. We got you. What narrative are you telling yourself? I thought you were like, Abby, you can stop now. You're going overboard. I'm just kidding. No, just to kind of wrap it up, guys, it's just like, what are you telling yourself about yourself? Who do you really want to become? Like, I was at the airport today and I was looking around at people. Guys, this whole mask thing is getting crazy. And I'm like so over traveling right now. And I was looking at everybody in the airport. And I'm like, we're all the same. We're all the same. Like, we are all the same, obviously, in our own unique way. We're all special in our own unique way. I get that, okay? But we're all human beings. And you guys ever have somebody in your life that you just kind of idolize? And you're like, oh my God, like, I love this person. Or because of like maybe who they became or who they're becoming, or because you think they have some kind of special power or whatever, or special part of them, which they don't. We are all the same. We all do the same things. I can go into detail on that every day. We all have to do the same things. As a human being, biologically, nobody is special. I've came to a point in my life right now where I don't idolize. And I used to be so envious of other people, guys. And that was because I had no self-esteem. I had no belief in me. That was my narrative. Abby, you're never going to be successful. You're never going to learn how to trade. You're never going to be able to build a business. All these things, blah, blah, blah. Y'all should see some pictures of me in college, post-college, where I was trying to figure out my weight loss issue. I wasn't like super overweight, but I showed some of the leaders the other week a photo of me, and I would tell myself, like, every time you work out, you're gonna be like chunky strong, essentially. That's like what I would tell myself. And it was like, why are you believing that? Why do you choose to believe that? Or, oh my God, every time I, build my account to $1,000, I lose it all. What are you telling yourself? That's not true. That's just what you believe to be true. I had somebody on the team one time. I have bad luck all the time. Bad luck for me. And I was like, brother, you are literally setting yourself up for the next bad thing to happen. I'm like, do you ever like listen to yourself? You literally are telling yourself what's going to happen. You're initiating bad things to happen by what you spew out of your mouth. Your tongue has power. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you say about yourself. Switch up the narrative. I don't know what you believe about yourself. I don't know how you view yourself. But guys, there's nobody out there that's special. We all have these same abilities. Do you have the actions? Do you have the self-talk? Okay. What to say when you talk to yourself. Great book. If you want even further detail with like self-talk and programming, go listen to Bob Proctor. Guys, he's in our freaking academy. You can listen to his sessions that he has pre-recorded. Bob Proctor is incredible to listen about this. Your paradigm, same thing. Joe Dispenza, go listen to him. But you've got to get your self-talk right. If you are wondering why you are in the same spot, I don't know where you guys are at in your life. I'm just saying. If you are wondering why you are living the same day, which turns into a week, same week turns into a month, same month turns into months, years. You get my point. People wake up in 10, 20 years and they're like, oh my God, what happened to my life? I'm like, that's not a life. You literally live the same day over and over again. You told yourself the same thing about who you are, and that's who you became. You're either growing or you're dying. You've got to switch up the way that you talk about yourself because, guys, I promise you, I've been in that situation before, and it's something that I'm working on right now to get myself to where I want to be. On a business side, trading's been good. On a business side, really developing myself to become the person I want to become. I know I can go chairman, right? And same thing with trading. I know I can build multiple six figures in my account. What are you telling yourself? Be very, very, very mindful about it. You become what you think about the most, and what you focus on grows. And your environment is going to be everything. Your environment will be everything. That's why we have these calls. That's why we have trainings. Guys, every call, every training, every event, whatever it may be that you are qualified to be at, which is all of them pretty much, you need to be on. Not for me. I don't care. Like, obviously, I want everybody to be on here, to volunteer army to show up to these calls, but it's to add value to you. It is an investment into you. It is how much you take yourself seriously with your personal growth and development. Because when I come to calls, guys, this is the last thing I'll say, closing out. When I show up to things that I know can make me better, this is my mentality. And I learned this from Jason Brown and Matt Rosa, Chairman 750s. They show up to things like this with the mindset of, what can I take from this that's going to shift the way that I think? That's how we change. It first starts here. They show up to everything. I show up to everything that I do, consciously starting to become aware of that with what can I take away from this? A gem, a golden nugget, a piece of information. Because that's all it takes to shift everything, to take the direction of your life from this to this. It's the inches. Everything, winning and losing, is in the inches, okay? So think about that when you show up to things. Don't just go through the motions because so-and-so told you to be on this call or show up to this. If y'all are coming to Arizona for the event in November, y'all, be here. You don't want to watch this by yourself. Again, it all comes down to environment. Can you imagine? I know if I was first starting out and I had the opportunity, and I knew that there's going to be a virtual event, I would probably watch half of it. If I was brand new and I didn't know how depth, all of this was. If I was brand new, I would probably watch this by myself, and I would probably just, tune into it here and there throughout the day. And, I'd probably have it, playing in the background, or maybe while I'm, in my bed trying to take a nap. You're just not paying attention. Your environment matters. So show up to these with the intent to take something away, to shift the way that you think, and develop and elevate your belief. Because whatever you believe is what you're going to do. You don't do anything that you don't believe. If you don't believe that you can actually become successful in trading, you're not going to plug in consistently to the Go Live sessions. You're not going to plug in and ask questions and communicate. You're just not. There's a level of obsession that you will need to get to create any level of success in your life. I promise you that, for sure. So guys, with that being said, I do appreciate all of you guys' time. With any questions y'all have moving forward, you know that you can reach out to any of us, any of the leaders, myself, Alex, Tony, Josh, Rachel, and a few other people that are not on this call right now. But please know that we're here to help. You guys don't have to be here, and I respect that. You guys showed up on a Sunday afternoon. You could be doing anything, but I hope that at least you took something away from this that you can go out and apply to build better habits. That's what life's about. You literally become what you think about, and those habits will literally take you to the person that you're maybe destined to be or you fall short of. Your success and your failure will be dependent on your programming, what you tell yourself in your environment. So we try to keep these environments on these calls at least positive and elevating, and somewhere where you guys can actually grow. That's the most important part. So with that being said, guys, there is an additional call this evening with Chairman 25, Mike Sotero himself. I'm pretty sure a couple people are going to be running that call. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. That call happens every Sunday. That information will be dropped in the chat. And then as always, there's Zoom overviews Monday through Friday. All that information will be dropped as well. And then stay tuned for next week. Same time, same place, but 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing these calls again for you guys to tune into. So I appreciate you guys. Much love as always. And I will talk to y'all later. Peace out.